Hi, welcome to BIP Chat. BIP stands for Business is Personal, and isn't that true? And it's a philosophy that Thomas and I have held in the world of business for our entire careers, but it actually became the title of my book, which I launched in 2019, published, I should say, not launched. And then it's also the community that we run, where we attract experts into the community, intimate small community. It's called BIP 100 for a reason. And we're looking to create this ecosystem of people who become suppliers to one another, supporters to one another, advocates for one another, great friends to one another. And today I'm really excited because I'm interviewing one of our very special BIPers who's helping people develop on their personal side of their life. And as I said in my book, our personal life, how much we develop personally affects our business success. And many of us have shadow sides. Very, very powerful to have Geoff in our community. Geoff is Geoff Sober. If you'll watch this on YouTube or on my LinkedIn, you'll see Geoff is the author of From Fear to Failure to Flying High. And today we are going to talk about a subject which is really critical to people's success, which is, do we hold ourselves back by a fear of failure? And it's actually got a name. I'm going to try and pronounce it properly. Atychiphobia. Atychiphobia. I said it right. Have you got atychiphobia? You might find you have. So we're going to have a good old conversation, Geoff and I. Treat us as if you're sitting in a coffee shop and you're eardropping on something really interesting. You might be walking your dog. You might be in the car listening to this. And I hope that we can make a bit of a difference to your life with the next 20 minutes of our conversation. So Geoff, welcome. It's absolutely lovely to be having a chance to talk to you about a subject that is so powerful. I want to start off by saying that our whole family have been on a personal development journey since we started to suffer traumas and challenges inside our family. And we honestly say that our adversity and therefore the ability to take on the support of our people has been a huge aspect of where we are in our lives now, both personally and in business. So I'm really, really thrilled that we're going to be covering a subject. And what I will say to anybody listening to this is, if you've never had somebody really dig into your subconscious mind, really talk to you about yourself, you've really missed something very special. And so I hope over the next 20 minutes you enjoy this and maybe consider having a talk with Geoff. So tell us a little bit, Geoff, about where you've come from. Why? Because I know you did a degree in psychology and you've had a journey of helping so many diverse people in their lives. Tell us a little bit more about it.
Absolutely. It's most definitely, my life has been a journey of personal growth and self-development, and it's always a case of out of the darkness comes the dawn, in that I had a footballing accident in my early 20s, where I was meant to go to America to play professional soccer. 7 days before going out there, I dislocated my right ankle, broke 3 bones in my right foot. And it's kind of like, at the time, what a disaster, end of the world. The future I thought I was going to have didn't happen. But it helped me pick up a book by a chap by the name of Dan Millman, Way of the Peaceful Warrior, for anyone who's come across that. And it was all about personal growth, self-development, how to make your best life, how to make you the best you. And out of this terrible accident came really the mission and the purpose that I was meant to lead.
Wow.
And so for anybody out there suffering now, look for the lesson. There's always a lesson in these, and I know you've talked about your disasters and traumas. We all have them. And I think what the beauty of business now is that more people are willing to talk about their vulnerabilities and their failures. And that's where BIP and myself really come together and connect, because we're coming from that same place. But through this journey of personal growth and self-development, I started to see just the patterns that fascinated me as to why some people could take some knowledge, find out how to do something, how to start a business, or how to speak on stage, how to write a book. They could take the knowledge and just run with it, go from step to step to step to step, and be the success they wish to be. whereas others were second guessing the information, were trying to add bits that weren't there, were stopping and starting, zigzagging, going from hope to disappointment. What were those blocks that stop those people being the success they want to be? And that's a frustrating place to be. That's a very frustrating, when you know you have potential, when you know you have abilities, but you can't find the outlet to express them. And so that became my life's mission. I mean, I've had a very different life from the life I was born to lead. And that's the purpose of the book, was to show that I came from a family who really wanted to live quite small in the world, the duck under the parapet, not step out, not risk anything. And I've had a very different life with that. I've started businesses. I've had 2 7-figure businesses. I've had business failures. I had this journey into sport, property. So I've stepped out of what would have been the family comfort zone.
Yeah, amazing.
Yeah.
And what age were you when you started to step into your own power like that?
The soccer, the footballing injury was the catalyst. That was the real catalyst. So that was mid-20s. And I'd had this glimpse of another life. I'd been a teacher prior to that. I'd been a teacher in a boarding school. And I had a glimpse of, in this footballing job, I was going to be paid a lot more money. I was going to be doing something I loved. I was going to be impacting lives, because I wasn't just going to be playing. I was going to be coaching as well. So it was the start of something exciting. When that stopped, the excitement within me, or the belief that I could do something more, remained.
How interesting.
So I just had to find the outlet. And my immediate thing was business. Let's go into business.
That's phenomenal. And
Yes.
most people would see that as an incredible transition to go, but something inside you was, whatever the outlet was through sport, you were satisfying it the same thing through business.
My father has passed now, but and I love my father. My father and I were great friends, very alike. My father came out of national service, and he was offered, his sergeant in the said, "Oh, you're a very good footballer. I've got 2 trials for you with professional clubs. You can go, you could go and be a professional footballer when you come out of the forces." The 2 trials were arranged. He didn't turn up for either trial.
Wow.
What is that? That's fear of failure.
Right, absolutely.
So I loved my father, but he's passed, as I say, but he was a role model for how I didn't want to do things.
So is avoiding the fear, a stronger part of us than actually facing it? Is it stronger in a lot of us?
I truly think, we're all on a spectrum. We're all on a spectrum, all our emotions, I believe, they're there for a purpose. So fear of failure can actually be a huge motivator. And you see very successful people successful in several different fields, using fear of failure as to give them momentum to actually, I don't want to have regrets. I don't want to, resent the fact that I haven't taken up opportunities. Whereas for others, like my father, they stop. They just don't do anything.
So applying this, I was thinking of somebody that I was talking to recently that is undervaluing themselves. A lot of people are saying you should charge double. They might be charging £1,000 for an hour, that you should be charging 2,000. And their block is, I might get rejected. It might not work. And that is a fear of failure, isn't it?
Absolutely. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So when you're working with someone, can you help us to see, because I know you've created, and I know you can't give this away on a podcast, but you have created a really powerful methodology for working through this fear of failure with people, haven't you?
I have, because there's an element of my coaching where obviously talking through and expressing deeper felt emotions is useful. But when you fear failure, there's a lot of stuff you can't articulate. If you ask a person, they don't know why they're like this. At one stage, I didn't know why I was like this. I did not want to go into teaching, but I did. I just kind of drifted in life. I heard I heard Hannah bring up "Outwitting the Devil" by Napoleon
Oh,
Hill
yes.
in her flow session,
Yeah.
and Napoleon Hill divides people into drifters and non-drifters. And the non-drifters have a purpose, know where they're going, they set goals, they achieve them, and they keep moving through life with actions. Non-drifters stop and start, or they zigzag a little bit. They hit a challenge, so they regress and they move away from the difficult parts. Um, I can get this particular system that I have gets into the subconscious. A person doesn't need to be able to articulate their block, because they don't know their block, to be quite honest, to me, for us to get to it. And it's painless and it's quick, and I know I'm biased, but it's magical. It is magical when a person can, and it's often quite fleeting. A person can say to me, they can say to me, "Oh, something came up there," and in the time it's taken from them repeating the statement I've asked them to repeat to the moment they've articulated, "Oh, something was there," it's gone. It's dealt with.
Yeah,
It's
I can
dealt
relate to
with.
that.
And so, I had a lady, and I think I've mentioned this lady before. She had had 9 years of therapy, 9 years of kind of talking through. She had issues where she'd been abandoned as a child. So it was abandonment, and it was not feeling worthy. She'd had 9 years of therapy before she came to me. And it was going nowhere, because she was all she was doing, and these are her words, not mine, was reinforcing the identity that stayed a victim.
Yeah, interesting.
Whereas this methodology can get to the root of it, the deep-seated root of it, um, without talking about it. Um,
Amazing,
and it'd be
amazing.
gone in a flash.
Yeah, so I've got to
It's hard
say
to
that
describe.
Hannah, you told me about outwitting the devil, and I bought that for Hannah for her for Christmas
Ah,
stocking.
right. Yes.
Yeah, and
Yes.
she has absolutely loved it. And I think that understanding that you just shared there, and I suppose we talk about business is personal. I think what I really notice in people is that they are now spending so much time trying to perform in business that they are forgetting how important it is to perform personally, and
Yes.
the link between the two.
Yes.
Um, and do you find the people that you work with, it can be, equally, they could be talking about relationship challenges, not being able to commit, commitment phobias, fears of going into relationships, as well as business ones? Do you feel that there are both?
Oh, absolutely. There's a great phrase: as you do one thing, you do all things.
Right.
And so, quite often, a person that can't commit to their business can't commit fully in a relationship.
Interesting.
You will see the same patterns going throughout. A person who is selfish in business can be selfish in their relationships, in their friendships. Um, Sometimes I've worked with a lot of younger people, sort of in their 30s, early 30s, wanting to make a change in life, perhaps wanting to go in business, and just looking at social media, looking at YouTube. How do other people make money? Okay, I'll make money in that way as well. So there's one guy in particular that I'm thinking of who he tried property investments, he tried trading stocks and shares, forex, all the things, affiliate marketing, all the things that were out there supposedly that would help him make money, because he wanted to make money. And when you get down to who the person is, when business is personal, when you get underneath the surface of who and what he was, he loved design. He loved cars. He was in his terms a petrol head. He has started a business designing greetings cards for petrol heads,
Oh, wonderful.
and it's become a magnet. He's given up his corporate job. The business is making enough money now for him to fully engage in it. So do you see how identifying one's identity, who you really are, your true self, what you truly came on this earth to do, gave him permission to be a success and have everything that he wanted?
How beautiful. I love
Whereas
that.
trying to be something else, trying to be something that other people are, it was frustrating. He was spending out hundreds and thousands of pounds on courses and things that just weren't in alignment with who and what he was.
I think you've really touched an important subject here, because I think you're right. Social media and that sense of comparison and thinking, well, if they're doing it, I should do it, and not really knowing ourselves well enough. And the strap line to my book is be the leader of your life and business, be the leader of your life and business. It's understanding yourself. And I mean, I've not got the skills. I'm not a therapist and work in the field that you work in, but I just, it was my experience of properly discovering myself in 2018, and
Yes.
how it liberates you from everything once somebody's helped you through to that point. So I
Yes.
love that, absolutely love it. So so you created this book, you wrote this book, Fear of Failure, here, and you do talks, you do keynotes.
Yes, yes. So again, um I own property, so I moved from digital print into property, and again, I've kind of wanted to prove because again, there are a lot of business owners out there who, to all intents and purposes, oh, I own a business. Oh, you must be your own person. You must feel free. You must be
Yeah,
liberated, or that's what the outside world thinks. But there are many, many business people suffering in businesses that they have turned into a job, that they have made. And my digital print business became that way. It became a burden on my head and my partner's head. And we got into that. We didn't like the business anymore. And so I was able to get out of that and get into property. And again, I want to inspire people to say that, if it's not working for you. You actually know if your life is out of sync. You know if you're unhappy. You know if you're living in obligation, duty, sacrifice. Those
yeah,
are things, for me, no human being should live with those feelings. And so, the book is about me moving out of digital print and into property. And yes, I've given property talks. There's a lot of landlords and private landlords living in fear of what both governments
yeah,
have
yeah,
done of late. There's a lot of fear of dealing with tenants and all sorts of things. So I've given talks because to me, we should never feel trapped. My job often is that people have this thought, well, I either do A or I either do B, when actually, when you open your mind up and when you remove the blocks that are within your mind, there's a whole myriad of options.
amazing. I love that. I love that. And when you're working with people and you're peeling back these layers and helping them to reveal it to themselves,
Yes.
do we often, the catalyst to fear of failure, can it happen at any stage of your life, at any time?
Yes, and I think you mentioned, I know you and Thomas with the academy, you can have your life swimming along quite nicely, etc., and then it
Yeah,
all hits the fan. I've had those moments as
yeah,
well. I've had two or three of those,
yeah,
um, and that event can sometimes define us. So the failure of a business, the failure of a relationship. I've worked with a lady recently who, after her and her husband, after 27 years of marriage, they're deciding to split. They were going along very nicely, and then something has happened. That can define us, and that can exacerbate the fear of failure. It can, is my life now going to be like this? It can, again, it can become, I think it was Zig Ziglar who said, failure is an event, not an identity. It's not a personality trait. But it's too easy to take on that mantle and think, oh, I'm now a failure, and to sink further. We see people who, when they hit these really hard challenges, they either sink or they bounce back and they come back stronger and learn the lessons from them. And I've seen so many of these things now that there's usually a core life lesson within that disaster for us to learn.
Yes, beautiful, absolutely beautiful. So if you've enjoyed this conversation, which I have, and you probably would like to have more of that, Geoff would love to have a chat with anybody who's feeling they're holding themselves back in any way. And so Geoff, your website, tell us how people can find you on your website.
Yes, I mean, it's literally geoffsober.com. So it's simply my name.
Pretty good. That's good. And sober's with one.
I like to make things simple.
Yeah, nice and simple. Obviously, you can connect with Thomas or myself, and we would love to introduce you to Geoff, or find him on LinkedIn. So Geoff with a G, if you're looking up Geoff, and sober with one B, SOBER. Otherwise, it would be sober. So I do know my English. It's been really fascinating to talk about that. As I talk to you, I'm thinking of people that I love and know and who would really benefit from a conversation with you. This has been really enriching. And I know we've just touched the surface in this 20 minutes, but it's really powerful what you've talked about. And obviously people can get hold of your book as well on Amazon. So From Fear of Failure to Flying High. But yeah, Geoff always loves a conversation, and he's a great man. So get in touch with Geoff if you feel this has maybe made you curious about ways that you might be limiting yourself and your future. So thank you so much, Geoff, for your time.
Thank you so much. And, as you've said there, I'm happy for people to just experience this, just if people have a block, just experience it once. If they never use it again, that's fine. But I just want people to know there is a way to relieve these blocks. So, but thank you for this. I've thoroughly enjoyed.
Oh, it's been wonderful.
As always.
Thank you, Geoff.